quiet beginning, so we on? Good afternoon, graduates, family, friends, and honored guests. My name is Dr. Eric Fulmar, and I'm the Associate Chair of the Department of Physical Therapy, Movement, and Rehab Sciences, and I'm honored to serve as today's MC for your ceremonies. I'd like to welcome you all to Northeastern University, to Bouvé College of Health Sciences Doctor of Physical Therapy ceremony. I'm so happy that each of you are here to join us today. Thank you. So I have a script up here, but I'm going to take a minute of personal privilege and go a little bit off script for this class. It's a little rocky start, similar to your start here. I feel obliged to speak to this group a bit personally because, well, it's this class. And this class, well, I guess a little bit of headache, a little bit of rough start, a bit of a roller coaster, but none of that would really do this class justice. So we started rough. We started as boxes on a screen to each other for painfully long hours, and I know that's my bad, I get it. And then we slowly got to know each other in labs, but it was still behind masks, it still was not smooth, not ideal. And then you all didn't have a get-together, and maybe half your class was gone for a period of time. There were a lot of obstacles. I know we tried super hard to balance student and faculty safety, learning, and mental health, all the while hoping that we could get here today on time, and we did. I know those early semesters weren't easy for you all, and for me personally, probably the worst of semesters. On some level, I felt like I was letting this group down, even though I knew it wasn't truly the case. But I can't speak for others up here, but it was a bit of a helpless feeling for a while. Then we fast forward to our to January for MSK1, and quite literally the most nervous I've personally been for any semester I've taught. I wanted this class to go well. I wanted to make up for that fall, and admittedly, I didn't really know what you all thought of me. So I still don't. But after that first class, I immediately felt different and felt like it was going to be a great semester. Other than not being able to reach the pull cord, so thank you, Jeremy, for helping us get the screen down in class. By the end of that semester, I felt suddenly more connected to this group than I have been to any class, and it's really been a pleasure of mine. I've enjoyed connecting with you and following all your journeys, and I wanted to personally thank you for blindly trusting me and this faculty up here, oftentimes questioning me, and ultimately sticking with it to get here today. So thank you. So back to my script. So we present today's program with a lot of heartfelt emotions as we celebrate all you've done here at Northeastern. We're proud of your effort, your resilience, and all that you've accomplished to date. You're now here, hundreds of credits and clinical hours later, an entire pandemic later, ready to take the final steps into the real world. You may have mixed emotions about this at some point. On one hand, you may have had enough. I'm sure you have. But on the other hand, you're ready to move on and excited for what lies next. And on the other hand, perhaps a bit anxious. Am I ready, and do I really know what I'm doing? I can say with the fullest confidence that you are ready, and yes, you should be excited and anxious. To be honest, you'll probably experience those feelings many times in your professional career. These feelings come with taking a big step forward. It's a natural feeling of discomfort when we make progress, and we're excited to share in those emotions with you because this is a huge step. Of course, you did not go through this and take all these uncomfortable steps by yourself. You had a village to guide you and support you, faculty, staff, advisors here at Northeastern, but most importantly, your loved ones, your family and friends, those here with you today, and those with you in spirit. those who have applauded your successes and supported you in your struggles, those that have listened to your complaints, perhaps wiped your tears, and perhaps even served as a practice model. Every little bit of support means more than we often express, so class of 2023, please stand and take a moment to recognize your family and friends and honor them with a heartfelt round of applause. Show them how much their love, encouragement, and support has meant to you in this journey. Other members of that village are your faculty and advisors. You put your trust in us to nurture you, guide you, and can occasionally provide that gentle nudge, all to help ensure that those steps you're taking are moving you forward. We did this because we see potential in each and every one of you to become the caring and compassionate healthcare providers that we know you're going to be. We knew that if you put in the hard work, asked all those questions, and discovered the answers, you would achieve your goals. And to be honest, one of the best parts of being a faculty member is that we learn alongside you in this ever-changing world. We ask the same questions. The science is evolving, the environment is changing, and the questions you ask drive us to seek answers. We learn with you, and we're honored to call you colleagues from this day forward. The faculty advisors have played a role in your education and are honored to have been a part of this journey. Class, please provide a round of applause to thank them for all that they've done to prepare you for this moment. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Trent Honda, Associate Dean of the School of Clinical and Rehab Sciences, and invite him to give some remarks on behalf of Bouvé College.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Trenton Honda, Associate Dean of the School of Clinical and Rehabilitation Sciences, and I'm so excited to be here to celebrate with you the DPT graduation ceremony for the class of 2023. We are celebrating today the final stage of your metamorphosis from dedicated students into practitioners and colleagues in your field. And one of the things that I think is really important when we're graduating in health sciences is to remember that the education and the skills that we've achieved are really special and sacred knowledge. You have the power to heal people, and that means that you have the power to give back, not only to the community, but also to the people who have helped you and sacrificed with you as you go through this journey. So from the college, Bouvé College of Health Sciences, and the School of Clinical and Rehabilitation Sciences, we congratulate you on your tremendous accomplishment. I am also very pleased that we are joined today by Provost David Madigan. Provost Madigan has led the university through tremendous growth, and his indefatigable leadership and vision have truly brought Northeastern as a paragon of education across the globe. And so we're very excited for him to celebrate with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Honda and Provost Madigan. It is now my privilege to introduce today's keynote speaker. Lisa Gelonardo is a longstanding figure in the Northeastern DPT program and has provided clinical education to many of our students. Affectionately known as Lisa G, she is an orthopedic clinician at Preservation Physical Therapy and Wellness, a small private practice in Natick, owned and operated by a recent Northeastern University grad. Most recently, she was senior orthopedic clinician, clinical instructor, and senior clinical coordinator at Metro West Medical Center. Her clinical specialty is management of foot and ankle dysfunction and is the primary focus of her practice. She received her bachelor's in PT from Northeastern, as well as her MS in orthopedic and sports PT from MGH Institute, and completed extensive doctoral work in organizational behavior and academic administration at BU. She spent many years as faculty at Northeastern and at Boston University, including as program director. Lisa chaired the musculoskeletal panel for the Guide to PT Practice and has lectured extensively on clinical, teaching, and administrative topics. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, graduates, faculty and staff, families and friends. It's an honor to be back at my alma mater and to share congratulatory words with you. Any opportunity to speak about physical therapy is a win for me. Over the last 40 plus years, I have been called everything from a physical therapy geek to the APTA queen, and lots of other things as well. And you know, I've been beyond blessed to have a career that continues to bring me joy, stimulate my brain, introduce me to really interesting people, and provide me an income. What more could you want for a job? Except this isn't a job, it's a vocation. It's a passion and it's a profession. So how do you keep excited about this? Well, first, remember why the field attracted you. Caring for people. Patients can be extremely challenging, and I'm sure you've discovered that in a very short period of time. One Sunday, covering an inpatient floor, it took me 45 minutes to convince a patient who was one day post-hip fracture to sit by the side of the bed. This woman was incredibly mean and incredibly angry, and the nurse even warned me before I went in that she was totally uncooperative. I love a challenge. I went in armed, but what I saw in the bed was an 80-year-old who was in pain and terribly frightened. So I convinced her that it was very important that she get up and that she sit, and that eventually she walked. She yelled at me, she swore at me, she told me to leave the room. It would have been really easy to leave the room. It would have been so simple if I just went and did the other 8 people on my schedule. But this lady needed to get up, and she needed somebody that cared enough about her to get her out of that bed. When she sat at the end of the bed, she said to me, are you coming back tomorrow? I thought, yeah, over my dead body. I didn't say that. I just thought that. I didn't say that, but I just thought that. And so the next day, the inpatient PT came down for lunch, and she said to me, oh, you know, Mrs. Jones was asking for you. I said, oh, how lovely. And she said, she walked down the corridor and she said she did that for you. You know, and if you can do that to one person, it just makes you understand why this is such an incredible profession. Second, we are a hands-on profession. This is your best tool. Touch your patients. I saw a patient about a month ago who was 8 weeks out of a complicated foot and ankle surgery. He lived about 40 minutes from the clinic, but his surgeon asked him to come and see me for a second opinion because he was not progressing. The patient was concerned that he couldn't go back to work as a regional sports reporter and cameraman. The man's ankle, when I looked at it, was 1.5 inches larger than his non-affected side, and he had almost no mobility in his foot or his ankle. The patient had been exercising on land and in a pool diligently. This man wanted to get better. He wanted to go back to doing what he loved to do. I asked him what kind of treatment he had received, just as par for the course, and he said, exercise. I said, okay. What was being done for the swelling and for the mobility and the lack of motion? He said, oh, no, nothing specific, just exercise. So I said, oh, okay. I said, tape, massage, anything. He said, no, the PT told him she doesn't do manual therapy and believes that exercise will take care of all of that. I said, really? It's like been 8 weeks. Not getting any better. This is a problem. And since when does a post-operative patient never require any hands-on care? Is exercise all we do as PT? I hope not, for the sake of all the money and time you just put into your education. It made me really sad for both the therapist and the patient who believed he almost lost his livelihood because the treatment wasn't based on the needs of the patient. Third, evidence-based practice requires an understanding of when and how to use it and who to use it on. Know your patients. Not that I need to tell you this, but you are doctorally trained clinicians whose job is to examine, assess your findings, make a PT diagnosis, develop and execute a treatment plan, and then reassess that effectiveness on a regular basis. That does not mean that you get a referral, no matter where you get a referral, and assume that the diagnosis on that referral is correct. Never assume. A student of mine, actually a Northeastern student of mine, once asked me if plantar fasciitis really existed. And I laughed and I said, why? And he said, well, because he's been with me for 9 weeks, and he said he's seen 10 referrals come through that said plantar fasciitis, and not one of them turned out to actually be plantar fasciitis. I said, well, okay, that's fair, but if I didn't do my own assessment and treated what was on the sheet, then the patient really wouldn't have gotten better, right? He was like, oh, yeah. I said, yeah. So using clinical practice guidelines and tailoring them to the individual patient is why you spend so much time and money on school. And it made me laugh yesterday. Yes, it was Thursday. Yesterday, I had this elderly gentleman come in. He was a golfer, and he was self-diagnosed as plantar fasciitis. He had done all this work on Google. He had cited all these blogs and all these other groups, and he had determined that he had plantar fasciitis. And so he called his PCP and demanded a referral for physical therapy and heard that I was the foot person, and so he needed to come and see me. I said, all right. So as I was evaluating his foot and ankle, I was asking him a million questions about golf, like where do you golf? How often do you golf? Any golf trips lately? Yes, 5 days, 18 holes a day on a very hilly course. How's your back and hips with your swing? Do you take pro lessons? And finally, what do you wear for golf shoes? I have to say he was a bit annoyed at first. I think he had already decided what was wrong, and he expected me to just take care of it and not ask him a million questions. Then he started to realize that I was interested in finding out why he had a sudden onset of heel pain. And he kind of bought into my questioning. He had brought 2 pairs of golf shoes with him, and I showed him how on his irritated side, he wore out the back of the heel so that there was a hole inside the back of the heel on that side. I said, where did you wear these golf shoes? He said, oh, those are the ones I wore in Upper Michigan when I was there for this, 5 days intensive golf. I said, oh, okay. I think we have a good sense of why your heel might be hurting. And he looked at me and he said, oh, okay. And suddenly he realized that all those questions and all this information really was going to pay off for him. We needed to address why as well as his symptoms. And I think that as a part of our evidence-based practice, you ask a lot of questions, you understand your patient before you come to the right conclusion. 4, if you're asked to do things that don't seem ethical, best for your patient, or consistent with good practice, speak up or find another job. An MGH colleague and a friend of mine, now retired, as most of my friends and colleagues are, went to a PT clinic for an evaluation of her back pain. As a clinician, she's on the phone with me going, okay, look, I think it's sciatica. And I said, just go have it evaluated. And so she went to a clinic near her in Delaware, and she told me that the PT, because you can imagine I got the phone call, I swear in the car as soon as she got out of the clinic, but anyway, she said the PT had another patient exercising on equipment while she was doing the evaluation, that she never looked at her spine or her pelvis or her hips and seemed extremely distracted with her questions. And 20 minutes in, she told my friend to do pelvic tilts and knee to chest, and just in time for her 4th patient of the hour walking in the clinic. Needless to say, my friend never returned to the clinic and asked me if this is how PT was happening today. And I said, no, and no PT should ever be treating 4 patients an hour. And if that becomes the norm, there's going to be a whole generation of PTs totally burned out. If those are your expectations, get another job. I know they're out there. I know a number of clinics right now who are looking for clinicians who will treat one-on-one for 30 minutes, 1 patient at a time. And they pay well. There's no financial incentive worth hating your job and losing your soul. And finally, 5th, be the best that you can be. Self-reflect regularly. The key to being a great clinician who continues to improve over time is honest self-reflection, assessing the good, the bad, and the ugly each day so that the next day is even better. I always ask my clinical students 3 questions. What went well? What didn't go well? And what would you do next time to make it better? And this is not an activity to be punitive. The idea is to be brutally honest with yourself so that you can adjust and make a difference the next time. Making mistakes or not being perfect is not part of the PT student DNA. And I know that, having had students for so many years. However, it's worth the initial trauma if you are faced with a challenge and you've thought about it and you do better the next time. For years, I think about my day as I drive home. In fact, yesterday I had a patient whom I had been seeing on and off for a couple of years. Originally, she had surgery for a Morton's neuroma that had developed scar. And now she was presenting with knee pain on the same side. She's been exercising faithfully, wearing good shoes, but the knee pain's nagging and even interrupted her trip to London. I videotaped her gait, but upon review, there was really nothing glaring, and I kept thinking, I am missing something, but I don't know what it is. So I'm going to run her case by another clinician. Maybe I'll call my friend Dave and ask him some questions. You should never, ever, ever be ashamed or embarrassed to ask somebody else's opinion. No matter how new, how old you are, it doesn't make a difference. We don't know everything. Another perspective is always helpful. It's just the way to gain experience and knowledge and another perspective. I can't begin to tell you how much I've learned just from having clinical students. It's great fun to learn new things, and it makes your patient management even better. The future's bright. It's in your hands. Hands to mold what works for you. If you're unhappy, your patients will sense that. Try to be the change agent. If that doesn't work, move on. Each day continues to be an adventure for me some 40+ years later. May you be so blessed. Best of luck to all of you.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for that inspiring message. I too call my friend Dave on occasion, so. Next, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Adam Thomas, selected by you all to be the faculty speaker for the class of 2023. I look forward to the insight that Dr. Thomas has to share with you all. So welcome.
It's a little aggressive. Well, thank you for having me here today. I especially want to thank Chris Cesario, Pam Donlan, Eric Fulmar for allowing me to be part of this ceremony. So we're obviously here to celebrate today, to congratulate and to welcome all of you students to the profession. And now I'm here, the one chosen to inspire, motivate, and impose my wisdom to you all. Oh, how lucky we are. On a day like today, I think about why I became a physical therapist and why you're all sitting here right now. It was to achieve similar goals and aspirations. I have to be honest with you, I never really wanted to be a physical therapist. In reality, I just wanted to help people and work with athletes. Actually, I wanted to be a professional athlete. But I got cued that my athletic abilities may not be up to speed when I was constantly picked last in phys ed, and I got cut from the freshman baseball team because I couldn't throw, catch, hit, and I was slow. Apparently, Marshfield High School not looking for that. So I became an athletic trainer, and it allowed me to be involved in the action on the field, but more importantly, it allowed me to be involved in rehabilitating athletes back from injury. I soon realized that this is my passion, and this is what I really wanted to do. So today, you all graduate with a Doctor of Physical Therapy degree. So what? Although that's an accomplishment that is outstanding, it was what you expected to do and what you set out to do when you came to Northeastern. That was the plan, that was the expectation, and frankly, that was the goal. And as physical therapists, we strive to achieve our goals. Your real achievement's obviously going to start now. What will you do from here? How will you build on it? And how will you achieve your personal goals? The way I look at it, your career is a book, and you're currently finishing up chapter 1 of your physical therapy book. Your PT education was just an introduction to what's about to come. You can choose to stop here. However, you won't really get too far as a physical therapist based on what you already know. You are now the author, you're the editor, and you decide what the next chapters will entail. Of course, along the way, there's always going to be surprises and plot twists that force your book to go in a different direction, but you'll adapt and persevere because you're a Northeastern Husky. Your time here at Northeastern was definitely unique. Thinking of the NU DPT class of 2023, a lot of words come to mind, but one word comes to mind, and it's adaptability. You entered into Northeastern at a time of much uncertainty in this world. You entered the DPT program as we began a new curriculum with a new cohort of students. And let's be honest, you guys weren't the only ones that had to adapt. All of us faculty up here had to adapt as well. We weren't perfect. You weren't perfect, but we all adapted, and we moved on, and we figured out the best way to accomplish our goals. And that's obviously a big part of us being PTs, the ability to adapt so we can achieve our goals. Maybe it wasn't ideal to begin a DPT program in a pandemic. Or was it? I mean, everyone else in the world waited for the next steps of what's happening, and we said, you know what, let's go to school. We were introduced in July of 2020, as Dr. Fulmar talked about, through your little online Zoom squares. Some of you sitting with roommates 3 to 4 to a square, which we all realized probably not the best idea. Some of you laying on your bed with your laptop on you, again, not the best idea. And then there were challenges the next semester with 1 week of Zoom classes followed by 1 week of intensive labs. I then met you in groups of 11 to 12 as you came to Northeastern's campus. It was there when I got to see your personalities and abilities to come through. It was there when I maybe got a little loud and excited when questioning Albert about electrical stim. And then you all kept on classes and headed to co-op. A couple of you went to Hawaii, some went to Spalding, some went to some outpatient clinics, some went back to their home states to work. It was after co-op where I personally started changing this class. much more focus and much more energy about being a physical therapist. Comprehensive exams came and went, and you all performed well on clinical, very well. And then most of you showed up and organized the dodgeball tournament to raise money for Dr. Mary Hickey Scholarship Fund, and I personally can't thank you enough for that effort and the turnout for that day. A great day for a great cause with great people. And Dr. Markowski was part of the winning team. And I'm sure you're all thinking right now, am I ready to treat patients independently? Will I be a good physical therapist? Will I pass the boards? Do I wear my white coat to the boards? How the hell do I wear this hood? Is Adam that good looking? So I get it. But again, what does it mean to be a physical therapist? It means a lot to me. It means I get to help people every single day. For me, I get to work with athletes and help them get better and stay healthy so they can do their job. What I do isn't much different than any other type of physical therapy. Working with a patient who sustained a stroke, or a patient who had total knee replacement, or a patient who has sustained major burns, or a professional rugby player or baseball player, the goal is still the same. In my job, I use aspects of every class I took. On any given day, I'm using motor control principles that, frankly, I probably should have paid more attention to in class, or I'm working with a player on emotional skill, emotional issue, or I'm talking to a strength and conditioning coach about collaborating about the best way to advance a player in the next phase of rehab. But then again, all of our goals are the same, to provide the best care and get the player back to their highest level. As a physical therapist, we must display a variety of qualities. As we already spoke about, adaptability, being able to punt when the time calls for it. Next, we must have energy. Energy is needed to be on our feet all day, transferring patients, maneuvering equipment. I'd like to say that we need physical energy as much as we need mental energy. It's crucial to stay mentally and physically fit. Outside of work, take care of yourself. PT can be very stressful at times, and you may bring your emotions home. So you need to develop ways to redirect that energy. Next is compassion. All you students could probably say, I don't really have much compassion. Most of the time, you're right. But when treating patients or treating athletes, you need to put yourself in their shoes. What are they going through? How can I be compassionate yet motivate them to possibly change their mindset? As we can all see, and I've already alluded to, I'm not a professional athlete, but I can appreciate how they think and what their goals are. This helps me be compassionate towards them when they are injured. This leads to the next quality, positivity and confidence. Imagine working with a therapist, a coach, or a teacher who says, well, you're probably not going to pass this test, or we're probably not going to get this any better. As PTs, we need to be positive in our rehab process because in medicine there's so much negativity. Think about it. We typically see patients because they come in because something's wrong. They never really come in and say, I feel awesome, and let's just keep going. So we need to have a positive outlook on what sometimes could be a bleak diagnosis or a bleak situation. Finally, a sense of humor. I laugh every day, sometimes at myself, a lot of times at others. I make it a point to laugh, and I laugh with my peers, my patient, my athletes. It's healthy, it's soothing, it's engaging, and it's fun. I mean, if you don't like to laugh, then you might want to reassess a lot of things in life. But, we get patients at their worst sometimes, and getting them to smile just a little bit goes a long way. And sometimes realizing you may mess up or make a mistake, it's okay to laugh about it, just not in the moment. At Northeastern, you all finished 1 co-op and 3 clinical experiences. You experienced many different instructors and many different physical therapists. From each of them, you learned something, whether positive or negative. And each situation shaped you in some sort of way. You've all been around each other for the last 3 years and have learned about working with each other, even in times when you really didn't want to. You learn so much from each other, more than you think you did. Even though you graduate today, as we've all said, your learning isn't over. As physical therapists, we need to continue to learn, continue to seek out opportunities to be better than you are now. You enter a world of medicine, which as we all know, is constantly changing. You need to be the one to be the change, to be part of the change. It's easy to sit back and continue to do what you do, but what will make you different is your passion and energy to stay ahead of the times. A few years from now, you're going to reflect on the foundation of physical therapy you learned while in school and realize there's so much more to learn. You may be done with school today, but as I've said before, your education is just beginning. Continue to learn, continue to strive to be better tomorrow than you are today. The only real roadblock to becoming a great physical therapist is you. And don't be afraid to fail along the way. I've failed, I've gotten rejected, I got told I wasn't the guy for the job many times. I failed my athletic training boards by 6 points the first time I took it. Then again, I failed. I had a lot of self-doubt, and I felt like I wasn't going to be anything. I then applied for a lot of jobs. I got 52 rejection letters. How do I know that? I kept them all. I threw them away recently. But I did keep them for a long time. But 52 jobs said, no thank you, and many others didn't even get back to me. This is before the internet days. After working for 6 months, I was still committed on getting a job in professional baseball. I applied to a few teams that had openings and got a job from the Houston Astros in the minor leagues position. But there was one stipulation. I had to shave my facial hair. So I traded looking like a fat 12-year-old to chase a dream. I eventually got a job in the major leagues 10 years later with the Boston Red Sox, and I was fortunate to reach a level that I dreamt of as a child. How does it feel to have my dream job? Well, I thought about this a lot when I was working there. Working professional sports isn't the dream job. It may have been my dream job, but it doesn't mean it's your dream job. Your dream job might be working on a TBI floor at Spalding, owning your own outpatient clinic, or becoming a research faculty at a major institution. The thing is, that job wasn't the dream job for everybody, but it fulfilled a professional accomplishment for me that I was extremely proud of. The moral of the whole story is that failures and rejections are going to happen along the way. It's not about the failures that make somebody, it's how you adapt and how you respond in order to grow. And remember, if you have a dream, if you have somewhere you want to be, stop dreaming. You need to basically do more doing. You control it all with the way that you carry yourself, the way that you interview, the way that you work, and the references that you have. I reached my ultimate goal for work when I was 39 years old, and I fell flat on my face many times along the way. Don't be intimidated by these big positions. Be inspired to be there. Don't look at me and say, well, I can never do that. You should look at me and say, if he can do it, I 100% can do that. And I want you to remember something, that today's a great day to be a Husky. You're graduating from Northeastern University, and this is very, very cool. Having a degree from Northeastern is no easy task, and it was not handed to you. In fact, a lot of us up here have Northeastern degrees. And I'm fortunate to be a double Husky myself, both in actual size, and 2 of my degrees are from here. And, a degree from Northeastern is one that is prestigious and hard-earned. Northeastern has raised the standards of the caliber of students that are accepted over the past 20 years, and we're thankful for that. You should always have fun. You should always be working as a physical therapist, trying to have a good time, and be happy to go to work. Be happy to help people. Of course, there's always those days that we don't want to go to work. It happens to everybody. But make sure those days are few and far between. Stay in touch with your classmates. They are and will be some of your biggest resources, both personally and professionally. Stay connected to the Northeastern DPT program. We want to know what our alumni are doing because great things are on the horizon for a lot of you. Finally, I know some of you in the audience are wondering, who the heck is this guy? I'm a physical therapist. I'm a proud Northeastern graduate. I'm a learner. I'm an acquirer. I'm a leader. I'm the same as all the graduates sitting in front of me. It's time, in a time of major uncertainty, I want to thank you for coming to Northeastern, having faith and trust in the university, having faith and trust in the PT program, and most importantly, with the faculty here on stage. And personally, thank you for the opportunity to teach you all, to get to know you, and the opportunity to reflect just a little bit with you today. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. There was plenty of insight in that. It's now my pleasure to welcome Ariana Buxman, selected by you to be this year's student speaker for the class of 2023. Ariana?
Good afternoon, administrators, professors, families, and friends, and most importantly, the members of the class of 2023. I am incredibly honored and humbled to have been invited to speak on behalf of my graduating class today. I am not our class president, treasurer, or secretary, and I am most certainly not our class valedictorian. I'm confident that every one of these bright individuals could give you an incredibly thoughtful and rousing speech today, so to be considered for this, especially by all of you, is an immense honor that I won't forget anytime soon. Remember when we started this graduate school journey 20 to 30 years ago, it seems? The world was on fire, everything was shutting down, everyone was staying home, and the 39 of us said, I think it's a good time to go to grad school. Conversations surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic are well-worn and long-winded, but to pass over the subject completely would diminish the resilience, creativity, and mental fortitude that the pandemic demanded not only from us as students, but from our professors and administrators. I don't think the faculty have received nearly enough credit for how quickly they adapted a previously synchronous and in-person doctoral course load to a fully virtual one. Not to mention that we were the only post-baccalaureate class to come through Northeastern. I can't imagine the long hours that were put in to ensure we'd be sitting here today, graduating on time, nor can I fathom how painful it must be to lecture to a computer screen full of motionless, voiceless headshots. There is only one thing worse than attending a 5-hour virtual anatomy class, and I imagine that's teaching a 5-hour anatomy class. To all our distinguished faculty members, a simple thank you feels insignificant in light of all we've been through together, but on behalf of our graduating class, I'd like to thank you all sincerely for the efforts put in to get us all here today. And let us not breeze over the impact that COVID-19 had on us as a cohort. I've never been a big fan of icebreaker activities, but our class was robbed of the opportunity to sit painfully through 2 truths and a lie. Instead, we were scattered across the country, some people even zooming in from bed at 5 a.m. Pacific time. Even when we were finally allowed to come back to campus, we were masked up and disunited into 4 small groups and highly encouraged to stay at least 6 feet apart. Not that that stopped us from trying to throw the occasional party or two. But I can honestly say that I didn't have the pleasure of meeting everyone in our cohort till at least a year into school, which is so unfortunate. My grandmother had a saying, "So it's not perfect." It's irritatingly simplistic and obnoxiously helpful, just like most things Greek people say. You failed your test, so it's not perfect. Half of your cohort got wiped out by COVID during finals week, so it's not perfect. You showed up for your first day of prosthetics class and waited outside the door for an hour just to get an email that had actually started 2 months later, so it's not perfect. You broke your arm a week before school and had to complete a palpations lab, sing one-handedly, so it's not perfect. This advice is so frustrating because it's rarely satisfactory and often disproportionate to the degree of the misfortune. However, it's also exceptionally sound-minded and forces you to put all your misfortune, no matter how substantial, into perspective. We didn't have the run-of-the-mill graduate school experience, that's for sure. We missed out on a lot and battled through more adversity than most. We endured technical difficulties and poor Wi-Fi connections most people can only dream about. We grinded through a rigorous doctoral program while constantly worrying about our own health and safety, as well as those of our loved ones, some of whom were thousands of miles away. So it was not perfect, but everyone in this room rose to the challenge and persevered. My father, a stubborn Greek himself, also has a saying, though this one's always been more just between the two of us. Whenever times are tough, he encourages me not to get off the train. The ride isn't always smooth, and the railway to success is often long and monotonous. There are hundreds of stops along the way that'll tempt you to get off the train, and there's no guarantee that staying on will bring you any happiness or good fortune. But stay on the train anyways. The past few years have given all of us ample opportunity to get off the train, but none of us did. We endured, and now not only will we walk out of here as doctors, but we will know that our journey to earn this degree was unlike that of any that came before us, and likely any of those who come after. And by the way, let that word sink in for a minute. Doctor. Today we become doctors of physical therapy. I think that when you're surrounded by like-minded individuals with a kindred drive for success, the gravity of that success can sometimes get lost. So let me share some cold hard facts with you. Less than 2% of the world's population has a doctorate. And according to the US Census Bureau, only 1.2% of the US population has a doctoral degree or PhD. To earn a degree of this stature is an extraordinary achievement, but to apply it and dedicate your life to the betterment of humanity is quite another. This world is full of suffering, and I'm so proud to be a part of a community that has dedicated their lives to helping people overcome their pain. Our cohort has such a diversity of talent, and it's so exhilarating to hear the wide spectrum of patients that just the 39 of us alone will touch. Pelvic floor, orthopedics, TPN, pediatrics, ICU and emergency room settings, deaf and blind populations, geriatrics, amputees, neurorehab, and even professional sports. It's a wide array of specialties and an exciting group to be a part of. But wherever this degree takes you, and whatever population you choose to work with, the bottom line will always be the same for all of us. We meet people where they are, often in their most vulnerable state, and we build them back up again. It's an honor, a privilege, and a terrifying responsibility. It demands constant vigilance, evolving intellect, and unrelenting selflessness, but it also inspires relationships, spawns creativity, and revitalizes a life that's saturated in goodwill and decency. It's a life you can be proud of. It took untold generations to get each of us where we are today, and more than a little help in one way or another from our family and friends. I'm sure you all have loved ones that are flooding to mind, maybe some of whom are even here today, that helped you get to this point. I personally would not be standing here today without my family. My grandfather, whose appreciation for academia and innate selflessness inspired my journey through school. My mother, whose warm heart and capacity for love is unparalleled. My little brother, who inspires me daily with his unrelenting spirit in the face of merciless adversity. My father, who has always been and always will be my safe place to land. And Levi, who I think deserves an honorary doctorate degree for how many times he let us practice on him as a patient. But most importantly, all of you, my peers, my colleagues, the class of 2023, you all made this experience more colorful and memorable than I ever thought was possible. We are, as we've been told numerous times, the most dysfunctional of families. I don't know many families that have put their hands so frequently in each other's mouths as we have for TMJ MOBs, or that have stared so deeply into each other's eyes as we have for vestibular assessments. We have been through so much together these past few years, and we all know that the road wasn't always smooth. But I'm thankful for the millions of hours spent together at Baracus University, the wild nights out on the town, and everything in between. Thank you for putting up with my spontaneous bouts of crying in elevators and frequent outbursts in class. I am thankful to be graduating from Northeastern with lifelong friends and a network of incredibly bright, intelligent, and well-rounded individuals. I will think of you all every time I join a Zoom call, each time I answer a question quick but wrong, and whenever I smell formaldehyde. I hope this degree leads you to do great things and inspires you to stay on the train and never stop learning. Congratulations to all of you. I know this degree is just your beginning. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce Dr. Maureen Watkins to present the awards for the class of 2023.
We'd love to give an award to everybody, but congratulations. We have a few names. They're all in the booklet. But at this time, I'd like to recognize the awards and scholarship winners among our graduates. Our students were recognized in the department level, college level, university level, as well as the APTA. All award winners are listed in the program, so take a peek. And most of these awards were presented previously, but I'd like to acknowledge each of the award winners right now. So if you don't mind, as I say your name, if you can stand up and get recognized. So in 2020-2021, we have the Urban Mary Lou Gray Eminence Award, and that was Sydney Manning. In 2021 and 2022, we had the Catherine L. Allen Award for Professional Commitment, and that's Miranda Duffy. In 2021 to 2022, we had the Northeastern First Generation Student Award, and that goes to Olivia Ulrich. And in 2022-23, the APTA of Massachusetts, we had the APTA Massachusetts Haley Kramer Award, and that went to Miranda Duffy. The APTA of Massachusetts Ruth Hall Award was given to Emily Wargo. In 2023, the outstanding graduate student of our School of Rehab and Clinical Sciences was given to Miranda Duffany. You can stay standing, Miranda. She also received the Jane Cloud Smalley Physical Therapy Scholarship, again to Miranda. She's getting a quad workout right now. And then the Charles Hallenberg Memorial Scholarship was given to Miranda Duffany. And our Physical Therapy Student Travel Fund was given to Olivia Ulrich. So we have two additional honors we'd like to present today. So I'm going to ask those individuals to come up onto the stage and receive their award. And this is for the National Physical Therapy Honor Society. This was established in 2018 to recognize current doctoral of physical therapy students who demonstrate excellence, integrity, professionalism in areas of academic achievement, leadership, service, research. They demonstrate a strong moral character, ethics, and uphold the core values of physical therapy profession. So it's my honor to first present the first one to Emily Wargo. And we had another Northeastern graduate honored is Bridget Collier. All right, moving right along. Thank you so much. Congratulations to everybody.
We're almost there. Next, I'd like to welcome Dr. Heidi Cheerman to the podium to speak to the Hoods and Colors traditions.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am one of the faculty members here in the Doctor of Physical Therapy program. I have been blessed to have your loved one in my classes over the past couple of years, getting to know each and every one of you, and I feel honored that I was part of your journey, and you guys look amazing today. I just want to say that. Today, I have the esteemed pleasure of speaking about the hooding ceremonies, the colors of the hoods, and the history of the doctoral hooding in the United States. In front of me sit our Doctor of Physical Therapy students about to become professionals in an ever-evolving healthcare world, as we all know. They will be receiving a doctoral hood that represents the many years of hard work, dedication, laughs, and yes, some tears, hopefully more happy ones than sad ones. This type of ceremony was started in European universities in the 11th and 12th century to celebrate graduating students as they began their career past schooling. Hoods were used mostly for practical purposes, to keep warm in the medieval libraries, which is where the ceremonies would take place. Universities then began giving different color hoods to different academic majors to distinguish the students from each major from one another. U.S. universities adopted doctoral hooding starting in the colonial era. Starting in 1955, Princeton University in New Jersey was the first to have their students wear certain academic dress daily to dedicate their field of study. Imagine that, daily. This was meant to mirror their European counterparts, but only lasted through the beginning of the 19th century. After that, colleagues transitioned to only using academic dress for special occasions such as this one. When looking at the regalia, there are multiple parts that each have significance. There are 3 stripes on the arms, which, as legend has it, are meant to represent the 3 pillars of doctoral scholarship: academic curiosity, academic honesty, and academic courage. The hood is 4 feet long, which is longer than the bachelor's regalia, which is 3 feet long, and master's regalia, 3.5 feet. The hood is lined on the inside with a color indicative of the university, and the outside is trimmed with colors specific to the subject that was studied. Each degree dons a different color to represent the values and traditions of their professions. The black and red lining represents Northeastern University, and physical therapy's color is teal, to be associated with healing and protecting. This doctoral regalia not only stands for what you have all accomplished thus far, but also the potential for each one of your futures. While it is a symbol that your time is coming to a close here at Northeastern, it is also a symbol to the start of your very exciting careers, one in which I am very, very confident that each one of you will succeed in, and we cannot wait to hear about the most incredible things that you guys are doing out there. To the graduates, and now our fellow colleagues, I hope you look at the regalia and your neighbor's regalia and really appreciate what it stands for. Other than something you will hang up in your closet for the interminate future, and to the family members, friends, and supporters that are here today, I hope that you are able to celebrate all of your graduates' accomplishments and remind them how proud you are to see them wearing their hood today. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Every day you have to wear those. All right, well, it is now that time. The moment you've been waiting for to celebrate our doctoral graduates. We ask that all guests remain seated and keep the aisles and walkways clear. I'm going to invite my faculty marshals to lead the students to side stage. I'd like to introduce physical therapy faculty who will be hooding the graduates, Drs. Debbie Bangs, Ann Golub-Victor, Dave Nolan, and Lori Solo. I'd also like to welcome Dr. Chris Cesario and Dr. Maureen Watkins to the podium to hand out the folios and the pins. And now, it's my honor to introduce the newest doctors of physical therapy. Dr. Liv Ulrich. Dr. Ariane Baum. Dr. Evan Bonvino. Dr. Jeremy Alvaro Breen. Dr. Ariana Athena Buxman. Dr. Logan Chayet. Dr. Hannah Shahid. Dr. Emma Lillian Champagne. Dr. Carmen Jiawen Chu. Dr. Sarah Clayman. Dr. Bridget Collier. Dr. Renee Nicole Sear. Dr. Miranda Elizabeth Duffany. Dr. Barika Egbereri. Dr. Gail Gallio. Dr. Austin George. Dr. James Porumpalil Gibson. Dr. Sarah Elizabeth Harkins. Dr. Carrie Jane Hillsland. Dr. Carrie Jane, oh, sorry. She already got it. Dr. Alexis Autumn LaPointe. Dr. Peining Lee. Dr. Sydney Manning. Dr. Ashley Rose McCarthy. Dr. Amanda Meyer. Dr. Andrew Miller. Dr. Olivia Lindsay Montesi. Dr. Megan Myers. Dr. Alice Elizabeth O'Connor. Dr. Ratul Rakesh Patel. Dr. Sydney Ann Pierce. Dr. Chantal Marie Sayag. Dr. Zachary Schwartz. Dr. Denise Monica Bihug Sano. Dr. Albert Kazimierz Smirchek. Dr. Matthias Russell Stam. Dr. Abe Sutton. Dr. Fei Wong. Dr. Emily Marie Wargo. And Dr. Nathaniel Zakchevsky. Graduates, we've been fortunate to witness your academic journey and look forward to all that you have to offer this physical therapy profession. As our newest colleagues, I encourage you to embrace the challenges of this healthcare world and be every bit of your doctoral degree. We look forward to working with you in this great profession. And on behalf of the faculty here at Northeastern, congratulations. So this concludes our hooding ceremony. Family and friends, we ask that you remain seated as we recess out of the auditorium. I'm going to direct all students on your way out. First, if you can, you're welcome to grab a parting gift from Northeastern, as well as heading directly out to the quad for photos, for a class photo. So again, congratulations.